Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And yes, I've been hacked. There's an imposter. I'm on time for once in my life. For once in my life, I get to be attracted to women again. Oh my goodness. How are you guys doing out there? Oh, wow. I just got out of the shower. My bad. How are you guys doing? I hope you're all having a fantastic and terrific day, because you know, it's always good to have a day that's fantastic and terrific, and it's just a general polite thing to say. What is this? Is this a long hair that's in the wrong spot? It is. Whoop. Oh man, I hope y'all are ready. We've got Alex Jones in the chat. Well, what's up, brother? I'm glad you could spare the cheddar for a donation. I know you're going through some terrible stuff. What's up, guys? What's up, Alex? Okay, here's your tip for being on time, unbreaded. Thank you. So the funny thing is, since I started on time, now it's going to take everybody forever. Like, they're going to be like, he's late. I should never break persona, never break character, never be on time. But anyway, let's talk about what's going on. So tonight we've got a couple topics. One that I wanted to do yesterday, two that I wanted to do yesterday, but I didn't get around to. We're going to focus on those after. I got a little razor burn, it seems. That's nice. Two that we're going to focus on probably right after the transition to Rumble, which, if you don't know, you should know. Hey, what's up, Steph? You should know that the show on YouTube will transition over to Rumble after about the first hour. Yesterday, I was bad at it, went about an hour and a half, and but I'm trying to get it down to right around that hour time limit, so there's a nice sort of predictability to the show and that transition, because you wouldn't want to, like, you want predictability in your transition, right? Just ask the people we're going to talk about at the end of the show on Rumble. But we've got New York messing with gun laws again, right after the Supreme Court slapped down the New York restrictive concealed carry permitting requirements that they had. They imposed new ones that in some ways are even more ridiculous. And now that issue is being asked to go back to the Supreme Court. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what we're going to talk about what the New York Attorney General is asking the Supreme Court. We're going to look a little bit at some of the requirements. They're unreal. They're unreal. What's going on with that? And they're now asking for an emergency petition and all this stuff. So we'll take a peek at that. Then we're going to look at that. I think will take us about the first hour, if I have to predict my annoyance at New York. Then we're going to get to Dana White having a public domestic issue with his wife, which has been spreading around on it's been spreading around on Twitter and TMZ and stuff like that. And so this is Freddie. Sorry, Cameron James says Nick took the institutional bribe, so he imposes a forced transition when the stream is still young and impressionable. Yes, you have to get them young, get them early. But Dana White is the owner of UFC. He's the CEO of the the fighting champion. What the fuck is it called? I've called it UFC for so long. Universal Fighting Champion. What the fuck is it? Why can't I even think of it? UFC. Ultimate. What? Jeez, what an idiot. Ultimate Fighting Championship. I used to watch UFC like crazy, so now I feel even dumber. He's the current CEO and has been for a while of Ultimate Fighting Championship and the parent company that owns it. He gets a lot of flack because he's super rich, is a Trump supporter, and doesn't give a shit what anybody has to say. He has no chill on other people's like opinions of him, and now because of that, he often gets a lot of flack over those opinions. Like when he, went on Trump's plane or Trump went on his plane. I don't even know who's plane. Maybe their planes touched tips in the air and just went sideways for a while. I'm not sure, but it's ever since then he's really been hammered on. But he also gets a lot of flack for not paying fighters enough, for not letting them out of contracts to do other promotions and things like that. But Dana White's been a very savvy businessman. If I'm not mistaken, he basically saved UFC from bankruptcy and took it over and made it into the sports sensation that it is now. So he was out at a bar and got into an argument with his wife of some sort. She threw hands and he threw hands back. We'll watch the video, maybe kind of talk about all of that stuff and I guess what that means and the realities of domestic violence and domestic abuse. I don't think domestic violence is such a straightforward situation as a lot of people make it out to be, or domestic abuse. So we can talk about if we think that this is just an incident of violence, if it's an incident of abuse. Either way, both parties are involved. So there's a lot to discuss with that. Then we've got a short thing about homebrew justice, which has to do with what I think is kind of coming in regards to the word of the people that YouTube wants to protect. So you can't say it. You can't say pedophiles on YouTube because they don't want you to say that. They don't want you to talk about those things. But the fucking pedophiles who are out there preying on kids, particularly through the internet, using anonymity, using kids' impressionability, using things like Discord and kids' proclivity to like talk to people and maybe not be as cautious as their parents or other family members would. They use that to set up meetings and to then get these kids into sexual encounters. Law enforcement doesn't seem great at taking care of the problem, or the problem's just so damn big that law enforcement won't deal with pedophiles. So like that, they just physically can't. There's also some complications to the way the justice system works on this stuff, because ideally you want to catch them before there's an actual victim. I mean, we can always make the distinction that anybody who's even proposed for sexual activity or some even like unwittingly talking to these people and showing up and then being kind of roped into it, that they're a victim before any sexual activity happens. But of course, that minor victimization is preferable if you can stop the further victimization that would happen later, right? Like we would want to stop it before it gets to the full on victimization of these kids. But the problem is that law enforcement isn't really equipped to deal with pre-crime. I mean, it does. Don't get me wrong. It does all sorts of, in all sorts of places and in all sorts of events. It does, but there's a lot of ways out of it, right? Oh, I was joking. Oh, I wasn't serious. I didn't mean to go through with it. And then they have to prove attempt, and attempt is a whole different attempt or solicitation. They have different elements that get harder and harder to prove. And to catch these people, you often have to delve into that murky realm of entrapment, right? So we're going to talk about what's going on and what I think will be an increase as time goes on and law enforcement continues to be ineffective at dealing with the problem. Because even if they start catching 80% of pedophiles as they're about to offend, that still leaves 20%. And it doesn't matter if a lot of kids are safe if your kid isn't. So we're going to be talking about homebrew justice a little bit. And then finally, we'll wrap up the show with the recent 11th Circuit decision. We're not going to read the decision because it's 150 pages for all of it. And even the main decision of the court is 50 pages. We're going to just kind of talk about the topic a little more broadly. Maybe we can look at the document a little bit, but I don't know. Reading 50 pages of dense legal documents gets to be a bit tiring for me, and I think for a lot of the audience, but we'll see kind of how to approach it as we go. But this is a ruling on transgender bathroom use in schools, specifically looking at the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution and also looking at Title IX. Both of these are sort of angles of attack that have been used to try and allow transgender students to access bathrooms that are not according to their biological gender. And the 11th Circuit has made a ruling that basically says that schools do get to discriminate based on biological sex as far as bathrooms go. That is not a violation of equal protection, and it is not a violation of Title IX. People are pretty angry about this decision because it does not categorize gender identity or sex as gender identity under Title IX and equal protection, at least in regards to public schools. So that's a pretty powerful decision. It's an issue that's been lingering around for a couple years now. And so we're going to take a look at what's going on with that, have some discussion with it. That'll be at the end of the night. Yeah. So that's the main part of the show. There's some other stuff I might get into on a tangent. There was something. I don't know. I'll probably think of it as we go. But that's the main bits. Oh, the Republican deadlock for the Speaker of the House. I don't know if you guys have seen the Republican deadlock for the Speaker of the House, but Kevin McCarthy is having trouble. Is it Kevin? Former Speaker, maybe continuing Speaker McCarthy, is having trouble winning re-election. You look hungover AF? No, not at all, actually. He's having trouble winning re-election, and there's a deadlock on the voting. And as long as there's a deadlock, Congress can't do shit. Which is hilarious. And it should be that way forever. I think they should stay in deadlock until the end of time. Fuck Congress. I don't know when it became like the duty of Congress to do shit. Like, just don't do anything. How about that? Can we have a do nothing Congress? Just let us go. Let us be. Leave us alone. If you're going to do something, unwrite laws. How about that? But anyway, so we might talk about that for a little bit. Jim Jordan is the opposition, and I don't frankly have an opinion on him. I know McCarthy's a pile of trash, but to me, they're basically all piles of trash. So I don't actually care who gets to be speaker so long as no one does. No speaker. Shut down the government forever. Please. Ugh. But anyway, so we'll get to that in a little bit. Probably. Other than that, the stupid little curly hair. Maybe they should just nominate Trump for speaker, or me, or Ben Shapiro, or I don't know, Newt Gingrich. Bring Newt back. Bring Newt's giant head back. Newt's the only guy who has to walk around carrying his own head in a wheelbarrow. Just bring anybody. Make a kid Speaker of the House. Who cares? Wait, actually, you can't put a kid in Congress. Very unsafe for the child. And those pedophiles can't be arrested while the Congress is in session. So we don't want to do that. Sorry, I didn't mean to suggest putting a kid in there. That was very short-sighted of me. But yeah, that's what we got. We have also just an update. Richard Hogue of Hogue Law was, let's see, who'd make a better speaker of the house, Jesus or Satan? Oh God. I don't know. I don't know. I think they'd both be bad politicians. I mean, no, Satan would probably be a very effective politician, but I don't think we'd want him in. Anyway, an update on Richard Hogue. He was taken in a good way off of his ventilator. This is Hogue Law, guy who does a show called Virtual Legality. He's in the law commentary community on YouTube. He had a stroke a couple days ago. He's been in the hospital. He's been on a ventilator. He's been taken off of the ventilator now, but he's whatchamacallit? He's responsive. He's verbal now. Like he can, it's kind of hard for him to talk because you got a ventilator down your throat and things get kind of fucked up. But he's able to speak a little bit, and he's able to move his right arm kind of on command and give thumbs up. His left side is still a little bit of a mess. But if you're a people who pray and who like send good vibes or whatever you do, you know, that's showing them some support. That's a great way to do it. Right now, his wife has been asking very specifically for prayer that when it's time for him to move to a rehab bed, that there will be a rehab bed available at a good facility. Look, I know not everybody out there is Christian. I know not everybody out there believes in prayer or whatever, but if you do, that's the prayer request they're specifically making. And I'm here to pass on the message. Look, if one of my colleagues has some sort of medical issue or whatever, I'm happy to pass that along. I'm still not aware of any GoFundMe for him or anything like that. But again, by all accounts, he seems like a decent man, decent husband, decent father. So, I'm hoping for a very speedy and complete recovery for him. It's probably going to be a long road. So, check that out. Or I don't check that out. I mean, that's the update. Last I heard, that was around 5 p.m. today. Hopefully, we'll just keep getting good updates. And as I see the updates, I'll pass them along because, they kind of get buried in Twitter and stuff like that. So, that's him. Now, the football player, I was going to say, he's in the hospital. He had a second cardiac arrest. Does anybody know, is a football player alive? Hamlin? I know his heart stopped again, but I think he's back. I don't know what's up with him. The crazy thing with Hamlin, the crazy story that I saw, have you guys seen the GoFundMe? For this guy, he had a GoFundMe, not for him, but for like kids, for like a kid's toy drive, right? And it had a goal of like $2,500. Here, I'm gonna pull it up. And then there's a weirdly written update on it, but so the goal was like $2,500. Hadn't really raised a bunch of money. And right now we're at almost $6 million on it. Whoa. Damn. People have come out of the woodwork to support. So a bunch of kids, look at this guy dropping 20 racks on it. Jeez, good job, Jason Hanold. Holy shit. But I want to read this update. The update is very confusing to me. I'm not quite sure what it actually means. Yeah, Nuclear Winter Gamer. I talked about Uche yesterday. I'll do another quick update when we're done with this. But yeah, it's the Chasing M's Foundation Community Toy Drive. Again, it was a $2,500 goal, and now boom, $6 million. So here's their update. This is kind of weird to me. The fundraiser was initially established to support a toy drive for DeMar's community, sponsored by the Chasing M's Foundation. However, it has received renewed support in light. You'd think In light of Damar's current battle, and we can't thank all of you enough, your generosity and compassion mean the world to us. If you would like to show your support and contribute to Damar's community initiatives and his current fight, this is the place to do so. This is the only current fund that's being used by the Hamlin family. Again, thank you for your thoughts, prayers, and generous support during this time. Damar created the Chasing M's Foundation to use as a vehicle to bring lasting impact to his community. Foundation supports toy drives, back to school drives, kids camps, and more. This is what's interesting to me, though. Hmm. 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 I don't. Does anybody else see a potential issue here? I mean, I see a little bit of an issue with this. I mean, I might be crazy, but this is no longer what the GoFundMe was for. It's now also including his current fight, and his family is using the funds. Yeah. The recipient of the donation is supposed to be Chasing M Foundation, I think. But I don't know. I hope they consulted an attorney on this, because I don't know if people are donating to what they think they're donating for. And like, don't get me wrong, I want all of this money to go. Here we go. It says, see, it says right down here, be after the update. Let's read after the update, the original post. As I embark on my journey to the NFL, I will never forget where I come from, and I'm committed to using my platform to positively impact the community that raised me. I created the Chasing M's Foundation as a vehicle that will allow me to deliver that impact. And the first program is the 2020 Community Toy Drive. This campaign gives you the opportunity to contribute to our first initiative and positively impact children who have been hardest hit by the pandemic. 100% of the funds will go towards the purchase of toys for kids in need. The time to act is now, and we will be distributing toys on December 23rd or 22nd from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. from Kelly and Nina's Daycare Center. If you're not able to contribute monetarily, you can support the initiative in other ways, blah, 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 blah. Man, I would strongly advise, if they're not buying 100% of the funds going towards toys, I would strongly advise not saying that anymore. Like, look, there's nothing wrong with saying, oh, hey, by the way, this is going to support, uh, you know, Damar Hamlin's medical bills, and then all remaining funds will go into the toy drive. Although I think the NFL is probably going to do that, or this will be to help support Damar Hamlin's family during this time, blah, 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 blah. And then any remaining funds will go to be purchasing toys. Like, there's no problem doing that at all, but they really should change the language. It's very confusing here as to what people are donating to. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't think there's nefarious action here, to be very clear. I don't think there's anybody trying to be sneaky and shady. I just think the wording of it could invite some uncomfortable stuff. And I saw someone say that they know, like someone at GoFundMe knows about it and is okay with it. It's one thing for GoFundMe to be okay with it. It's a whole other thing to have a charity presumably accepting donations that aren't for the charity, but will instead go to one of the principals of the charity, personal medical bills or something like that. That can be, they really should clear up the wording. That's all I'm saying. Again, I don't think there's anything nefarious. That's just, I wouldn't want to invite that kind of scrutiny from anyone else. I know it's an old GoFundMe, and you can update the old GoFundMe just like they have done here, but they should very clearly update the GoFundMe to be very clear instead of kind of ambiguous about where things are going. Just my opinion as a humble bro looking out for a man in a fucking coma or whatever. I mean, it would really suck to get out and have some giant tax issue involving the charity and the family after that. That's all I'm saying. Again, I think people do a lot of things with really good intentions, but the law is scheduled to catch people regardless of their intentions, even in spite of their intentions, and make them criminal when they otherwise wouldn't be. That's just my thoughts. I hope the guy makes a full recovery. Of course, I finally saw the video clip today, and I was like, "Damn!" You know, he gets hit on that tackle, stands up like he's all good, and then drops over like a tree. Very, very not fun place to be, in my opinion. But actually, I wouldn't know. I've never collapsed from cardiac arrest on a football field after being hit, so maybe it's fine. Maybe it's an okay place. I'm just kidding. Obviously, it's shit. And finally, final thing, Uche. Of course, Uche is a former NFL player, friend of Geeks and Gamers. I think he was part of the Geeks and Gamers team, friends of guys like Jeremy, Ryan Cannell, whoever else. I don't know who all knew him specifically, but I know Jeremy and Ryan Cannell have put out videos and stuff like that. And he passed away a couple days ago. And so, RIP to Uche. Definitely had severe disagreements with him on a lot of opinions. But that said, I mean, he's still just a dude. Disagreements on opinions kind of fall by the wayside when, you got real fucking consequences, real people dying. That shit always is a little more important. So RIP to him, and many blessings to his family and friends, and condolences, of course. So, okay. That being said, let's get into this. Let's get into this New York gun shit. I took too long. Where is it? Where do I have it? Oh, I think I have it in my messages still. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, and we might also talk about that dog fucking chick. I think it's a troll. Okay, I think it's a troll. I don't know about you guys. Oh, speaking of that, Attorney Tom's here. What's up, Attorney Tom? How you doing, brother? All right, let's we may talk about that probably on Rumble though. Okay. Here we go. From CNN Politics, so it's good stuff. Supreme Court asked to step in on New York concealed carry firearm law. This is just published on January 3rd. This is someone was saying this is old news. The law is old news. The request for the Supreme Court to intervene is not old news. It's pretty new news. She posts nudes. Oh God, I'll have to be very careful if I'm probably just going to talk about the one tweet. I'm not going to go trolling through her Twitter. Wait, let's see. Gundam enthusiast in my local says she had posted a Telegram group, and after investigating, I can confirm it is not a troll. No. Okay. All right. Oh shit, we got a couple super chats. Max Hines says, I love you and this whole community. I hope we all have an amazing 2023. Also, prayers going up for Hoglaw. Awesome. Thank you, Max. Very much appreciated. Thank you for being here. Squizgar 2322 says, Nick, we already know what Satan would be like as Speaker of the House. She just lost the job. Missed opportunity on that joke for me. Thank you, Squizgar, for picking up the slack. All right, so New York Attorney General Letitia James asked the Supreme Court on Tuesday to allow a new state law that places restrictions on carrying a concealed firearm to stay in effect while the legal challenges play out. The dispute is the first time the court has been asked on an emergency basis to consider a significant Second Amendment case since last summer's ruling that expanded gun rights nationwide. It actually did not expand gun rights nationwide. You can't expand gun rights. Gun rights are fundamental and personal. You can only infringe on gun rights through the law, including the Supreme Court law, which further limits gun rights. The expansion of gun rights, the only way to kind of expand them would be to restore them back to what they're supposed to be by eliminating the National Firearms Act and overturning US v. Miller. Gun rights are inherent and should be absolute, absent your loss of the gun right. Like you can lose any right. You can lose a right by being a felon of a particular stripe or category related to the right sometimes. But the idea that this somehow expanded gun rights is silly. It just, the Supreme Court saying you can't restrict them as much as you want, but you still can, which is garbage. Garbage. That case, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, the court struck down New York's prior concealed carry law. A 6-3 majority said the law prevented law-abiding citizens with ordinary self-defense needs from exercising their Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms for self-defense. First of all, let's get something fucking clear here. You do not need self-defense as a justification for owning guns. It does not say the right of the people to keep and bear arms for self-defense shall not be infringed. It says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Full stop. There's nothing else to fucking say. The infringement of the right, like, well, you know, the justification of non-infringement, well, for self-defense or for hunting or whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. The defense of tyranny, which I like that one. Defense against tyranny. It's great. We don't need it. There's just a fundamental right to keep and bear arms, period. Scalia got wrapped up in this shit during DC versus Heller. All these justifications for the fucking plain language of the Constitution, which just says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. First, it says, of course, in the prefatory clause, it says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state or something like that. The right of the people to keep and bear arms. But the operative clause is the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And that prefatory clause has nothing to do with self-defense either, or defense against tyranny. It's literally defense from the outside. It's talking about a well-regulated militia. That is irrelevant to the operative part of it. We don't need to justify everything. It's just the damn text. It just says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It doesn't say free speech exists because we want you to speak up against tyranny. That may be why they did it. But that's not why free speech is protected. And when we get into these distinctions and these justifications and these categories, we do what we've done to speech. Well, commercial speech is different from political speech, which is different from religious speech. No, stop it. It's just fucking speech. Speech needs to be protected. And in my opinion, should be completely protected. Outside of it infringing on someone else's rights. The same way anything else. When speech becomes damaging violence to someone and is false or whatever, you got defamation, you've got something like that. You've got a threat, a true threat of violence, something that is used, a fraud, a lie, those types of things that are used to harm others. That's when you infringe on someone else. That's when the law is supposed to step in. But other than that, speech needs to be protected. But what we've done to speech is create categories of speech and then different levels of protection that they're afforded. We've been doing it with guns since US v. Miller. Obviously, you've got machine guns, dangerous weapons, short-barreled shotguns, short-barreled rifles, things like that. Military weapons. What is the difference? If you want a difference, write it in there. Make the amendment. I'm sure, for example, if there was a proposed constitutional amendment that says The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But no nukes, though. No private nukes. Like, I'm sure that amendment would pass. Both houses. I disagree with it. I think private nukes are hilarious. But I'm sure that amendment would pass. That'd probably be a bipartisan amendment. Probably the first one since 1992 to pass. There you go. Very simple. If you want to say no machine guns, that one might actually pass too. No cannons, no explosive rounds, whatever you want to do. But they can't, they don't think they have the political capital to get an actual constitutional amendment on this shit. So they don't try. Instead, they go to the courts, and then the courts segment it up with justifications and categories. Well, this is a self-defense gun versus a non-self-defense gun. No, the self-defense gun that's best is the one that's at hand when you're being attacked. That's the best self-defense gun. Like, oh, it's a shotgun. Oh, it's a rifle. Oh, it's a handgun, whatever. No, the one that's in your fucking hand is your self-defense gun. Because that might be the only thing you have time to grab. And when they start doing this and they start categorizing things out, they start creating justifications, they start modifying the minds of politicians, the minds of judges, the minds of the Supreme Court itself, and the minds of the populace that a military grade rifle is different than a hunting rifle in some constitutional way. Like, I have a hunting rifle and an AR-15. My hunting rifle is semi-automatic. It doesn't have as big of a magazine as the AR-15, but it could. It probably doesn't fire as fast as the AR-15, but that's just my hunting rifle. I'm sure we could make a hunting rifle that fires as fast as an AR-15. Just basically got a wooden stock and frame. Okay, cool. All right. These distinctions don't matter. What makes that regulatable in a different way than the other gun? Nothing. It's fictions. It's fictions that the politicians are too afraid to spend their capital on putting down on paper. They instead want to rely on the courts. That's why I hate stuff like this. That's why I hate saying that they have to keep and bear arms for self-defense, ordinary self-defense needs. No. You should be able to have a gun in New York because the Constitution says so, not because you have an ordinary self-defense need. You should be able to have it because you want to wear it on a mask. You want to hang it on your ear. I don't know. Put it in your pants. Walk around with gun shoes. Whatever the fuck you want. We have the right to do this. Anyway, it just bothers me. It bothers me when we cave to these fictions. And I even see some people in the chat like, why do you care about the justifications? This is why. Real quick, even Scalia in his opinion in DC versus Heller, he draws a distinction between handguns and AR-15s. That handguns are somehow more protected than AR-15s. Why? Well, because handguns are more commonly used for self-defense than AR-15s. So? What? Who cares that they're more commonly used for self-defense than an AR-15? Again, I don't see that distinction in the Constitution. And I hated that part of the decision. Just days after the opinion, New York Governor Kathy Hochul, a Democrat, no kidding, convened a special legislative session to pass a new law called the Concealed Carry Improvement Act. What a bitch. On July 1st. But the new law came under immediate attack as gun owners said that it was a direct defiance of the Supreme Court decision and continued to make it too difficult for ordinary citizens to obtain concealed carry permits. Dr. DeVote says, as to university students using AI to cheat on essays, have them use ink-filled pen on lined paper. Sure, they don't know which end of the pen to hold, but nor do they know how to ideate without a word processor. Here we go. Let's get back to this. Last fall, a district court blocked key provisions of the new law related to requirements that an applicant So here's what they had to do. And this is what's at issue. Related to requirements that an applicant demonstrate good moral character, provide a list of all former and current social media accounts from the past 3 years, and sensitive place restrictions that include healthcare settings, churches, and parks. Oh. Demonstrate good moral character and provide a list of all former and current social media accounts. Fuck off with that one. In December, however, a federal appeals court put that decision on hold in order to expedited consideration of the matter, with opening briefs due on January 9th. Now gun owners want the Supreme Court to step in. So the appeals court has, the district court blocked these provisions, said these are unconstitutional. The appeals court said, well, hold on. We're not going to implement that. They're still good pending the outcome of the legislation. It's crazy. Now, the appeals court may actually rule that this is correct, but they've blocked it temporarily, which gives you the idea that maybe they're not going to rule that this is correct. It gives you the notion that they may be ruling in favor of the state rather than in favor of rights. Law and Lumber says the Constitution was ratified with the understanding the government just created would never reach into things that were so sacred when passed. The Bill of Rights was a holdup. I know you're going to want to regulate ABC, so here's what you can't touch. Correct. Again, I'm shitting on Scalia, but one of the great things he talked about in a speech or an interview about the Eighth Amendment was the Bill of Rights sets aside from the democratic process certain things. It just takes them away. It says you don't have to worry about that. That's what the Bill of Rights was supposed to do. And yet we have people, of course, regulating it over and over and over. You want to know why? Marbury versus Madison. I'm sticking with it. Marbury versus Madison. Scalia for president? No. Scalia votes Democrat now. All right, here we go. So they've asked the Supreme Court to step in. In an emergency application filed on December 21st, a lawyer for the gun owners asked the justices to step in, and he defended the district court opinion. He said it was carefully designed to limit New York's enforcement of a sweeping gun control statute enacted in retaliation against New York gun owners for having prevailed in the Bruin case. That's true. But even I have a problem at this point with not just having constitutional carry, personally. That's my personal issue. Constitutional carry should be in every state. It actually should just, it's called constitutional carry because it should be the standard. It should be the constitutional standard. They should have to try and overcome that. But yeah, I mean, I guess in New York, this is the best you're going to get, is the kind of the stripped down version of the concealed carry permitting requirements. The lawyer, Stephen D. Stambuli, said that the 184-page opinion was meticulously tailored to uphold the right of New Yorkers to keep and bear arms. The justices are not considering the merits of the case, only whether to lift the appeal court order pending appeal, which they should do, frankly. Although it comes in an emergency application posture, the request represents the first chance for the justices to weigh in on how lower courts are applying the Bruin decision and its new doctrinal framework for Second Amendment cases, said Andrew Willinger of the Duke University School of Law. In Tuesday's filing, James said the district court's opinion was riddled with errors and urged the justices to stay out of the dispute and let the appeals court ruling stand. She stressed that the appeals court had expedited consideration of the new law and that further percolation of the relevant issues in the lower court is needed to inform the Supreme Court's review. So this is Letitia James again, the district attorney for the state of New York, and she is saying that the opinion that stripped down the law's power to respect the rights of New Yorkers, that is riddled with errors. Remember that she is arguing for the state. She wants the shitty law that the state passed to be upheld rather than stripped down, and she wants the appellate court to stay those changes that were made pending the outcome. These politicians are garbage people. The district attorney is a pile of garbage. New York State, as far as the Second Amendment goes, is a joke. New York City specifically. Oh, Law and Lumber again. Hey, what's up, brother? It says words on effing pages mean something. If you don't like it, do the things that are constitutionally required to change it, period. All other narratives are false and, quote me, the real danger to democracy. My man, 100% agree. That's why I don't like Marbury versus Madison. That's why I don't like this idea that the Supreme Court gets to write effectively constitutional amendments. We have a process for amending the Constitution. We've had it for a long time. It was written down when they wrote it. We've followed it before. We've done it. It's approximately every 30 years. We amend the Constitution. Last one was in 1992. We're due. We're due for an amendment. They tried to do it with the women's equality amendment, which was complete horsecock anyway. But yeah. So who knows what the next thing's gonna be? But it's a mess. But no, Rob's absolutely right on this. They wrote the words down. The words are supposed to be binding, but we've deferred to a court that has no actual authority to do what it does, by the way. That's why I shit on Marbury versus Madison, because it took this idea of judicial review and imprinted it into society and determined that the Supreme Court gets to determine what the law is, but they don't have the constitutional authority to do that. It's not written down in Article 3 of the Constitution. I've read it a couple times. I don't know. I don't know what to say other than that. The court took power that it did not have, and the lasting effects of it have been disastrous, in my opinion, to the idea of a constitutional republic. Okay, let's I don't know if I have too much more to say about this. Obviously, I'm obviously pro actual Second Amendment, not pro bullshit. I'm opposed to US v. Miller. I'm opposed to gun restrictions at all. The only time you should have a right infringed, in my opinion, of any kind, is when you have committed and been convicted of a felony which directly involves the exercise of that particular right, and only, in my opinion, so long as you are incarcerated or under your criminal review. So if you're either in prison or if you're on parole/probation, but once you've served your time, your rights should be restored, in my opinion. That's how I think it should always be. It drives me fucking crazy that it isn't like that. I have big problems with people losing their voting rights after they've done their time. I have big problems with people losing any rights, frankly, after again, felons, but they serve 10 years in prison. They do their 5 years of probation or parole and they're done. If you don't want them to have their rights restored, keep them under probation longer. The Constitution actually doesn't have a provision to take away your rights. That's the crazy thing. It doesn't actually have that. It's so fucking weird. But to me, it's only if you commit a crime related to the right. So if you commit a crime related to like a speech, right? A threat of violence, some sort of fraud, obviously your right should be restricted in some way to prevent you from the likelihood of doing that. Now, it doesn't mean you can't speak ever, but there might be regulations on who you're allowed to speak to or in what capacity. If you're a guy who defrauds people by selling false mortgages, for example, maybe you can't work in a financial capacity until you have served your time in prison or whatever and then done your probation or parole. Like once that's done, then maybe you can go back to it. And if we don't like the idea of people going back to having their rights restored, make that confinement longer, have harsher penalties. It's simple. Like that's the system we should build, in my opinion. That's mine though. I'm not a big fan of any of that shit. But okay. Ginger Ninja says NFL player got the clot shot on 12/26, collapses 7 days later, but not cool to ask questions about it. I couldn't go to the hospital with my dying family member without disclosing my status. Fuck off, UFC. I think it's fine to ask questions about it. I don't. Like for me, I think that can come a little bit later just from my personal thing, but I don't care what other people do. I'm not going to tell people not to. I'm not going to talk about it too much on YouTube. They're not big fans of that. But I'll speculate. I'll just say like whether or not my man got a jab, which I figured he did because I think to play in the NFL you kind of have to. So I assumed he got jabbed. But whether or not he got a jab, I hope he has a speedy like a recovery. I hope he's okay. I want him to live. Just because I disagree with the imposition of that choice on people doesn't mean I want them to suffer from it. That's just my personal opinion. So, but yeah, I just like, I'll talk about that when he's recovered or dead more, probably happily. I just don't want people to get confused on the human side of things for me. But, all right. Anyway, Rob, you can't talk about New York gun laws without watching the New York Public Access show that was prank called in the early 90s over gun control. It's a classic. I have no idea what that is. Tamara Holloway. My cousin Tara passed from ketoacidosis today. Oh, I'm sorry, Tamara. Please toast my cousin, my spirit animal who lost on Jeopardy, but at least she tried. She was 50, my age. Tamara, to your cousin Tara, passing away from an ailment that none of us want to have in any way, of course. But may her passing, of course, mark the end of suffering, the bringing of peace. May you, your family, your friends, her family and friends that extend beyond just yours, start to heal. May they always have good memories, good impressions, and may her good spirit and joy be passed through you to the people that you meet and interact with. Cheers to you and cheers to her. Gotcha, son. I did a cheers for Uche last night. Bandit 848 says, I've been rewatching Rittenhouse coverage. Zeminski hasn't been tried, but is out on bond after another felony. That guy is a fucking dirtbag. Speaking of people who are not a dirtbag, I was originally going to do an interview with Kyle this week, but then this week got really truncated for me. Maybe, of course, whew. Sorry, I got a text that I had to look at real quick. Yes, originally it was going to be this first week, but I did talk to Kyle today, and gave him some options for an interview time. Basically, my calendar is almost entirely open for him. It's kind of whatever day works best for him, outside of a few like very specific exceptions, day or night. So once we lock that down, I'll be announcing it. I'm hoping it will be next week. Although I said I wouldn't be broadcasting Thursday, Friday. Right now, that's still the current plan. But I might actually be here Thursday, Friday. Our plans might get forcibly changed on us. And if that's the case, then I'll be broadcasting. But for Kyle Rittenhouse interview, I'm hoping for next week, but it depends on his schedule when he's available. I've made my calendar open to him. So whenever he's ready, but it should be soon. So just to give an update on that. Bandit says, I've been rewatching Rittenhouse coverage. Oh yeah, the Zeminski hasn't been tried, but is out on bond after another felony. Salty C says commingling. Yep, that's in regards to the GoFundMe we were talking about. What commingling is if you have a dedicated fund specifically for a charity, and then you use those funds for personal use, that's when you have commingling. It's not the only way to have commingling, but you can do it with business expenses. You can do it with, for lawyers, you can do it with client funds. That's where a lot of lawyers get tripped up, where they have client funds come in, they're held in a trust account or they're held in some account, and then they get used for other business or whatever. That's a big problem. You don't want to do that. Don't want to do that at all. But that's commingling. It's mixing of funds that should not be mixed. And that's the concern I have with that GoFundMe. Not that anybody's doing nefariously, but that maybe they don't have proper advisement on handling that massive amount of money coming in. Leah Zavios, welcome to Lawyer Status. Samurai says, can SCOTUS fine/punish New York for Second Amendment subversions? And they can't really do anything to punish the state of New York. No. Remember that the Supreme Court has approximately 9 guns. And that's one for every Secret Service agent that's assigned to a Supreme Court justice. That's about it. Other than that, there's not much they can do. That's always been kind of the thing with the Supreme Court and with all of the branches of government. This all exists on a handshake. We all just agree to let government work the way it should. But as Andrew Jackson famously said, the Chief Justice has rendered his decision. Now let's see him enforce it. What are you going to do? What you going to do when old Hickory comes for you, right? What thing are you going to do? How is the Supreme Court going to stop the president or Congress from doing anything that they want to do? The only thing is the consent of the governed. The Supreme Court, this is kind of, it's why some of these publications are kind of right, even though they're not, they're right for the wrong reasons, that the legitimacy of the Supreme Court being questioned is a problem. When the populace loses faith in the Supreme Court effectively loses all power. Because ultimately, what happens if the president says, fuck you? What happens if Congress says, fuck you? What does the Supreme Court do about it? And in the same way, what happens if the Supreme Court says, fuck you to either of them? What do they do about it? The only person who's really scary is the president. The president has not ever, to my knowledge, enacted the true extent of the presidential power, but it ultimately is the power of a king. And if the president determines that the Supreme Court is treasonous, and if he has the political will behind him and the public will behind him, then send in the military, arrest him, arrest Congress, see what fucking happens. See what happens when we don't even know. That's the crazy thing. We don't know what would actually occur in that. We always do this stuff by handshake agreement. We always do this by consent to be ruled by a document and a set of rules. If any of us change their minds, what we have is civil war. And it's terrifying. I want to find out in like the abstract, like what the hell would happen here? It's kind of interesting. But I don't want to find out because it throws the economy into collapse. It throws the country into turmoil. It pits person against person and actual guns. And actual fucking guns show up and they don't care about the legality of the guns. That's when people start getting blasted. And that's as much as my educational as much as my educational sort of inquisitiveness wants to find out what happens, I really fucking don't. I really don't want to fucking know. Peter Watkins says, come and take it. God, I need a come and take it shirt. George Leos, welcome to Paralegal Status. Hugo Itano says, I must confess I gave money to an internet female. Can the Church of the Unbreaded forgive? I swear I only give Pipkin Pippa money to encourage a collab to continue the grift. Hugo, what have I said? What have I said? What have I said about this? Don't do it. Not even to Pippa. You can only give Pipkin Pippa money when she's on this show or when I'm on her show. Then it's okay. Then it's acceptable. Then it's not simping. The Church of the Unbreaded. I don't know. Is she Italian? Let's see. What do we got next? Ron Crossman, would be funny if SCOTUS got fed up and made constitutional carry law of the land because of the states continuing to pass laws. They could try and do that. And then the states would pass laws trying to limit that. Be an interesting federalism question, right? How far can they do that? How far can they go? I like the idea. I would like to see that play out. I would like to see a peaceful interplay between the branches of government that ultimately lays down the Constitution as the fucking basis, as the law of the land, reminds everybody what the actual law is, particularly Congress and particularly state Congresses. Law and Lumber says the Constitution was written to defend against narcissists, the king, and over the years, narcissists attacked it to restore their narcissistic ideals. Rob, we need to have a law. We need to have a Constitution and Lumber show sometime. We just get drunk and scream at the fucking state of freedom and liberty. It's gone. We're like old men yelling at clouds. They don't even know the text. Stephen that way says the NFL did not have a mandate. Somewhere between 5 and 10% were not jabbed. Maybe it was the NBA that had the mandate, which is why we should wait to see if you even received the jab before blaming the jab. Let's not become the left. I'm not blaming. Sorry. Locals just dropped a fucking baller picture. It was amazing. Let's see. I lost my train of thought. The fucking eagle meme killed me. I hate you guys. Oh my God. Emily Baker, how you doing, girl? We haven't talked in forever. We got to chat sometime soon. Nick, I blame you. I cannot unsee trans canine. There was an octodong. What is happening? Emily, you cover a different shade of degeneracy than I do. You cover reality TV. I talk about the worst stuff. The dark corners of the internet. If you ever want the most undesirable education, hit me up. By the way, Purple Hearts in chat for Emily Baker. I know tons of you are law nerds and love her very much. She's such a fucking killer YouTuber, guys. Isn't she? Damn. You want an example of how to succeed on YouTube? Check out Emily D. Baker, who is murdering every algorithm I've ever heard of. Keep going, girl. Make $10 billion. But yes, as far as, again, going back to the jab and, oh, Emily, there are crimes you haven't even heard of yet. Going back to the jab question, again, I don't know if the jab did it cause it. I don't know what he had. I don't know anything about it. To me, it's irrelevant. Right now, we've got a guy who's in with a bunch of friends, family, and fans, who's in, and teammates and all that shit, and he's in medical distress. I think we can all wish him well, whether or not we have political disagreements over a certain policy or over a certain practice that people have, and then hopefully we can find out the answer. Hopefully we can find out the truth about that. By the way, Emily, you probably can't see it, or I hope to God you can't. But my locals chat is also dropping a bunch of purple hearts as well. They love you as well. Thank you for stopping by. And guys, I just want to say again, one of my very big supporters when my YouTube channel was tossed was Emily Baker. She was an absolute bro behind the scenes. She's fantastic. She was, offering anything she could do to help. It was great. And she was very, very comforting in my 3 days of absolute existential crisis. She's always been super cool. Always been super cool. Let's see. Here we go. Mike Wells says, can I get a shout out for my rock who suffered after I threw it in the water? Mike Wells, big shout out for your rock. I would hate to see that go in the water, and I hope it's able to swim. I doubt it. I doubt it. Yeah, Emily, please message me. We could do a whole show about it. Probably only on Rumble, though. Oh my God. Okay, the next one. Amateur Anth says, F Uche, the guy wanted people jailed for not getting the vax. He even tweeted about it in 2021. I do feel sorry for his family's loss, though. Look, people have really shit takes. I sparred with Uche on Twitter. That was, I think, my only interaction. I may have been on one panel stream with him once, but I sparred with him on Twitter a couple times. Frankly, I thought his takes were absolutely moronic. So, my takes, lots of people think my takes are moronic too. That's okay. Behind every moronic take is a person, and I'm sad that he said that, but I'm not gonna judge his whole life based on one shitty take. And I know he was friends with a bunch of my friends, and I feel for them and I feel for his family. And even if he had a shit take, I wouldn't wish the guy dead. Like, I wish he would be alive to hopefully change his views. But behind many moronic takes is lofty. Oh yeah, that was one of the most asshole-ish comments I've ever seen. I love it. Oh, hey, what's up, Ryan? How you doing, brother? Peace to you, of course, man. Condolences on Uche. I know he's a friend of yours. So, by the way, Ryan, I'm putting you on the spot. You ever available Friday nights at 11? I could use a little tasteful racism in my in one of my panel comedy chill out shows. So if you're ever available Friday 11 at 11 Central, let me know, man. Love to have you on. It's been way too long. I need to have my son on the show again. We got to do it soon, brother. Okay. Mike Wells, Nick, you missed my super chat. I just got it. Darren Bennett, I'm a USA citizen, but got a DUI in 2000. Unable to vote. I'm in the Philippines 5 years now. I have my 13A permanent resident and able to vote in all elections, local, city, island, and national. See, I don't think you should lose your... Look, let me preface this. Personally, I hate DUIs. I didn't really do... I did, I think, one DUI case, and the guy told me he was pleading guilty. So I negotiated his plea agreement. I'm not a big fan of DUI as a crime because I drive my family around, man. It's one of the scariest fucking things in the world. That said, people make shitty mistakes and shitty decisions, and I try not to judge people based on one bad time or two or whatever. But I don't think they should lose their right to vote because of a DUI. Like, I just don't, I'm not there yet. I'm not there. So I fucking feel for you. Slade or Slade, HB 5855, which is likely to pass, will ban semi-autos, 10 plus round mags, and requires owners to register. Where's that? What state is that, Slade? If you could just tag me in the chat, you don't have to send another super chat. I'll look for it. That's fucking crazy. Darren Bennett, hello from Pinamugajan Cebu 55. Is that the Philippines? I don't know how to say any of that shit, but hello, Darren. How you doing? Steven that way says, to clarify, not saying you're blaming the jab. Right. No, I didn't think you were. And someone said it's always valid to ask questions. I agree. 100% valid to ask questions. Personally, what I try to do is to say ahead of, like, I try to deal with the person side and then the greater context. I think, well, I'll say it on Rumble. What I think about the jab entirely. Amateur Anth, the Supreme Court should have the U.S. Marshals as their enforcement arm. F the FBI, CIA, NSA, and all three-letter alphabet groups under the president. Uriah of the House Right says, guys, press crying emoji for Cunny. Mark Cook, I know Lofty was banned from Flashcast. I know. There was a lot of liquor flowing and there were high heated emotions. It was just after I left the show for a little bit. Drex and I left the show. Drex went to bed. I did locals, I think is what happened. And then Flash and Lofty got into an argument. There was a banning. I think that needs to cool down for a little bit, but I'm very much aware of it. I hope everything chills out. I like both Flash and Lofty, and I think I hate drama. I hate the fucking fighting between creators. Like, it drives me nuts. Frederick Little says, hey, Nick, a huge super chat. Thank you. Hey, Nick, I hope you and the family had a great new year. Keep up the great content. I hope you reach 1 million subscribers someday. We'll see, man. I hope I reach 1 million subscribers on Rumble. That's what I would like to do. I want to fucking break Rumble. I want Rumble to struggle with every live stream. But that being said, we do need to talk about something else. We need to talk about birchgold.com/knows. Birch Gold is a sponsor and friend of the show. They are here to help you learn how to protect your IRA or 401k, or let me clarify. Learn one way to protect your IRA or 401k, and that's the use of gold and silver, physical assets that you can hold in these qualified accounts. A lot of people don't know that you can do this. Birch Gold is here to help. Why would you do this? Well, because gold and silver are resilient and resistant to market volatility and inflation. They're not a great earning investment vehicle. There are times when they are. Those times are usually dark and bad for everything else. But what they're for is when there is a downturn in the market, when you have Joe Biden say something stupid, when you have Hunter make some illegal deal with his Ukrainian co-ops or whatever the fuck you got, when you have inflation running rampant because we've been printing money like a goddamn Hewlett Packard on coke for the past, 10 years. Gold and silver track with inflation, and they're resistant to the market volatility. They move slowly in either direction. They hedge against these things. That's what they're there for. They're not there to make you $1 million. They're there to take that $1 million you made and keep it a little bit safer. And that's what IRAs and 401ks are all about. They're about holding assets for you. They're about setting up for your future. They're about setting aside money. And the worst thing that could happen is you work your entire fucking life and a stupid president or some brain dead senator from Pennsylvania comes in, says something and fucks up your whole life. That would be shit right before you have to start taking money out. Birchgold.com/knows is here to help. Look, I can tell you they've got tons. They've got an A+ rating on the Better Business Bureau. They've got tons and tons of definitely not fake reviews. I make that joke. I have literally no idea, but they have tons of 5-star reviews on their website, on all sorts of things. They've been around for a long time. They advertise on a ton of shows. My show, Ben Shapiro, I think had them for a while. Some of the Daily Wire guys. I don't know who all has them, but quite a bit. They've been around forever. I tell you all that. Doesn't fucking matter, does it? Here's what matters to me. They have never, ever, ever asked me to not say a joke, to not tell a story, to not make a quip, to not say anything. And they've never told me I have to say something at all. Ever. All they do is say, please tell people where they can find birchgold.com/knows. Click that green button. And we'll get them the information they need to make the right decision about their IRA or 401k. That's all. That's it. That's all they want to do. I love doing business with people who don't hate me. Birch Gold doesn't seem to hate me or you. So if you got that, give it a shot. Check it out. Thank you to Birch Gold for sponsoring the show. We've got one more super chat. Slade says HB 5855 is an Illinois bill, of course. Okay, there you go. Yeah, that thing's a whole disaster. Wait. Gregor Brzezinskiewicz, whatever the fuck your name is, says Jordan Peterson compelled to a social media re-education camp in Canada or taking away his license. Can I go with him? Please. I want to go. I want to be social media re-educated. Don't you want to go to the re-education camp and be the guy that gets hauled off for being hack the planet? Hack the planet. That's what I wanted. Let me be that legacy. Film it. It'll be fucking fun. Anyways, Birch Gold is awesome. Check them out. Yomofo717. I lost my best friend to a sober driver. Women. Damn, brother. Darren Bennett. I'm 55 now. In the year 2000, I was 33 in a bad place after a divorce. I did 30 days in jail. Never drank and drove again, but still can't fire. I think you mean vote. Thank you, Tennessee and America. Dude, I fucking hate that, in all honesty. I get it. Again, people have bad spots. I hate that people are judged by the worst moment of their lives a lot of times. Now, sometimes that worst moment is really bad, right? Like you murder 8 people or something. That worst moment lasts a while. Other times that worst moment is one fucking mistake, one bad decision, one speeding incident, whatever. It doesn't make a bad person. It just means a bad moment. But yeah, man, sorry to hear that. And Doctor sent a cat emoji. Thank you. By the way, we are moving over to Rumble. If you're on YouTube, Rumble link is in the description. The rest of the show will happen there. We got about a 20-second outro. Make sure you check it out. If you're on Rumble, if you're new to this thing, click the fucking subscribe button on Rumble. Click that plussy. Click like on YouTube if you so choose. I really appreciate it. Every little bit helps. It's a free way to support the show. But the link is in the description to watch the rest of the show on Rumble. We'll see you over there. Rumble and Locals, my absolute bros right now, who I love very much. Let's exercise some fucking freedom, baby. See you there in a bit. Peace. Peace.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get